Alcohol, drugs and contraception are going to be the topics in my video log discussion this morning. A while back I did discuss the repercussions of alcohol and drug consumption and how it's becoming far too widely available across the spectrum of the country for young people to purchase from off licences, and perhaps there is a lack of parental responsibility when in fact they should be discouraging youngsters from drinking alcohol and taking drugs. And the crime rate has soared in the past 15 years as a result of far too many young people being able to get hold of these kind of substances. And, you know, they have a lack of awareness because they're not educated properly at school about the ramifications of alcohol and drugs, and a naivety. You know, they see their peers, you know, smoking marijuana and drinking cider at the corner of a bus stop, and they think it's the cool thing to do, and they jump on the bandwagon and they just want to fit in a group. But of course, it's decaying our society. It's damaging people's minds, and we rely on the youth of today as, quite frankly, they are the future of Britain. You know, we rely on them to thrive as great lawyers, as teachers, as professors, whatever they may do. And if we have a culture where alcohol and drugs are condoned by particularly their parents, and they're not keeping a close, watchful eye over these young people, then what kind of hope does that give us as a nation? So I think it's very important. I think that maybe they should be more strictly regulated. In off licences, of course, if you look under 21, you will be ID'd for alcohol. And however, a lot of people get away with it. And I think that the point is that America has a law where the drinking age is 21. Now, the crime rate is always going to be higher because it's 10 times larger than the UK, but it is still manageable. And it seems to be becoming very easily accessible, drugs and alcohol. 55% of crimes and incidents in this country, you know, relating to driving accidents and violence are actually drink and drug related. And that is incredibly concerning that it's that high. And I know, you know, relatives who've been alcoholics and they've struggled with their lives. And a lot of people think that we should clamp down on people who are recovering from alcohol and recovering from drugs, particularly maybe if they're not recovering and they're still in a drunken stupor, and actually they should be criminalised instead of showing compassion and sympathy, as particularly Russell Brand, as an ex-drug user, believes that actually we should show some compassion and remorse, well, not remorse, but sympathy for drug users and drink, you know, consumers as well, for alcoholics and stuff. And we have a system where we're spending billions upon billions of pounds. I think it's something like 30 million pounds or something every year on helping these recovering alcoholics and drug addicts get back into a normal way of life. And of course, that money is coming from the taxpayers' pockets. And many people are arguing, actually, should we really be spending so much money on helping alcoholics and drug addicts get back on their feet, helping them to recover? Well, yes, because I think in life, everybody, when they make a mistake, when they get involved with the wrong thing, particularly drugs or alcohol, which is harming their body, everybody deserves a second chance. And we should be a sympathetic nation who gives people this opportunity to recover and turn their life around. And yes, we are spending millions of pounds on helping drug addicts and alcoholics recover. And yes, it is coming from the taxpayer's pocket. And yes, we do have a system where perhaps we're a little bit too lenient towards them. But I think if we villainize these people and we send them straight into jail, then how are they going to learn that they shouldn't be taking drugs and alcohol? All that's going to happen is they're going to be severely punished. They're going to be locked away in a cell, and they're going to just become more and more depressed and miserable with their lives and wallow. And, you know, I think that we should be helping these people, certainly giving them a second chance. But, you know, it's becoming an issue now that more and more gangs and, you know, many crime incidents that we hear about across the country are actually, you know, very much drug and drink related, because of course it messes with your mind, whatever substance it may be, mescaline, methadone, LSD, cannabis, whatever you may be taking. It is a distortion of the mind, and it makes you paranoid, it makes you hallucinate, it makes you panic stricken. And these drugs can make people do horrific things. I think it was Ben Fogle actually tried to jump out of a hotel window a while ago, or it might have been a pub window, because he had his drink spiked and he was thinking that he was absolutely invincible and he wanted to jump out of a window. Now, he was with his very two young children and his wife at the time. Now, he could have killed himself because of that. And the danger is that you go along to a party, you may not be a drug user, but there's somebody there who is a drug dealer or a drug user, and they spike your drink. And then it sends you into a complete frenzied state of paranoia, and you think that you can do anything. And you can end up injuring yourself. I know a friend who took cocaine. Now, cocaine is, in some respects, a hallucinogen. Not normally, it doesn't normally make you hallucinate, but it made him feel that he was invincible. And he tried to jump in front of a bus. A friend had to restrain him. So this is the problem: is that these drugs are turning these people into completely out of character monsters, quite frankly. And we need to make sure that drugs and alcohol are more strictly regulated. I appreciate that if you're under 21, you will be ID'd and so on. But young people are still getting away with it far too much. And really, I think there's, to an extent, there's so much that the law can do to actually prevent youngsters from taking all these drug substances and alcohol. But I think the buck stops with parental responsibility. And I think it's very important that parents understand their role. And they make sure that children are educated as much as possible about the problems of drugs and alcohol. But I think the main issue is that a lot of parents have actually grown up taking these drugs and have grown up drinking excessive amounts. So they are not setting a good example for the child either. They're not a good role model because they do it themselves. In fact, many parents may encourage it. So I genuinely think there is a problem here in society, that there is a generation which is ever growing that think that it is a normal, thing to do. And the only way that they're going to enjoy a night out and gain pleasure from an evening is to get completely and utterly paralytic. And that is not the case, because alcohol is a depressant, but we use it as an antidepressant to make us feel better. People who maybe are miserable with their lives, they're feeling suicidal, something terrible has happened, like a breakup in a relationship or something. And they are using alcohol to lift their spirits. Now, of course, alcohol is just like any drug, it becomes addictive, and we want more and more of it, and it makes you feel much lower and more depressed in the end, and can only end in a negative outcome. Any drug you take. I mean, I suffered from anxiety and depression for a while, and I was taking Valium. Now, Valium, the thing is, at first it makes you feel so much better. It relieves your anxiety. But then, because it makes you feel so much better, similarly with alcohol, you want more and more. Then I was taking, 4 tablets of Valium a day. Then I was taking 6, and I was taking more and more because of the fantastic way that it made me feel. It made me feel amazing, so I wanted more and more of Valium. Now, it becomes an addictive drug, and you become hooked. And before you know it, you're taking more and more, you have an overdose, and you can kill yourself. So I think the worst thing you can do is become addicted to a drug. We use it because we think that it's going to cure our problems in life. But the only way to cure our problems is to retrace our steps back to the root of the problem and establish what has caused it, but not resorting to drug and alcohol consumption. And yes, I think it needs to be more strictly regulated. And yes, I think it is becoming an ever-growing problem in the UK. Thank you for listening to my video log. I will see you next time.